Welcome to Voice of America's Washington studios. Asadullah Khalid here. We'll be discussing today with Dr. Shiri Mazari. She's Pakistan's Federal Minister for Human Rights. Are you satisfied with the human rights situation in Pakistan?
I'm not satisfied with the human rights situation anywhere in the world, and the same applies for Pakistan. Obviously, we have over the years had a lot of human rights issues which we have not tackled properly, even though we have signed 7 international human rights conventions. We are moving forward. Our government, for example, has for the first time adopted a rights-based approach to social welfare issues like health, like education, where it used to be seen as something that was a charity doled out by the state. We have said no. These are fundamental rights of every citizen to have access to good education, to have access to health, to have protection of the law. We, for example, have a very progressive transgender law, which very few countries have, and we have now started implementing that. We have transgender employed in our ministry, and we have asked other government offices to fulfill the requirement that they must employ transgenders in their ministries as well. We are doing police sensitization and judicial sensitization of transgenders. That has already commenced.
You believe your ministry is doing enough work and Pakistan is on track?
I think we are on track, and I do want to point out a fact that very few people seem to know, especially abroad, that Pakistan is one of the few countries that actually allows its non-Muslim citizens their own personal laws of marriage and divorce. So we have the Hindu Marriage Act that the last government promulgated, and it's being implemented. We have now come to a final agreement on a Christian marriage and divorce bill, which should be presented in the National Assembly soon. So this is something that other countries do not have. Our disabilities law is now with the standing committee. This is not to say that we are in an ideal situation. I think that there are some issues that need to be resolved, like enforced disappearances, and our ministry has prepared a bill making it amending our PPC so that enforced disappearances are something that become illegal and a crime. But we are still talking to the stakeholders, and obviously if for decades nobody has tackled this issue post 9/11, when it really became big, then it cannot be done away with, but at least we have started the process of dialogue with all the stakeholders to end this practice, because it's untenable in a democracy.
So who are the stakeholders, Dr. Mazari? Who are the stakeholders who are the stakeholders your ministry is talking to?
The stakeholders are the civil and military governments, the different organizations, the law enforcement agencies. We have to bring them all on board before we can have a law that will be implementable. So like with any other law,
right?
When we have disabilities.
Dr. Mazari, one more thing. How you feel the freedom of expression in Pakistan is curbed? That's what international media is writing. How you explain that part?
I don't think freedom of expression is curbed. There is no law to curb it. I think what we do want, though, is some responsible journalism, because there are allegations and assertions. Our libel laws, unfortunately, are so weak that tomorrow I can stand up and make any statement, and by the time somebody actually files a libel suit against me, it will take years and years and years, which, by the way, we are now trying to also improve our civil laws and our criminal judicial system and our civil judicial system, because seriously over the years these systems have become totally distorted and inefficient, and people can die and the civil courts will not have resolved issues. So we need to have stronger libel laws, and we need to be able to take action on those who deliberately do vilification campaigns. I've personally experienced death threats on social media. Despite our cybercrime laws, it's so difficult to get action against them. We have threatening YouTube. Individuals give threats on YouTube. YouTube will refuse to remove those videos. So there are a lot of issues. But there is no law that actually curbs freedom of expression. And if there was a curb on freedom of expression, you would not have had the multiple independent TV channels that still continue to come into being in Pakistan. So, you know, if there was no freedom of expression, why would the private sector come in with TV channels?
When you talk about the laws are there, but do you feel they are implemented the way in the true spirit?
I think that laws in this country, including, for example, for women's inheritance, for gender empowerment, for protection of women, the laws are there. It's the implementation and awareness. We talk about implementing a law, but we also need to have awareness programs where at least the woman or the man in the street, especially in the outlying areas, the rural areas, knows that they have these rights. So our ministry is focusing equally on awareness programs of laws that already exist that are not being implemented. And part of that is we have now tabled a bill in the assembly where we will have a formal structured legal aid system so that the poor and the marginalized can get legal aid to fight their case. In our ministry, we have a helpline, and through that helpline, we provide, if somebody rings us, especially women from outlying areas, we provide them with a pro bono lawyer within their district so that they don't have to travel very far to seek legal aid.
When we have the judicial custodies and judicial deaths, extrajudicial deaths on one side of it, where we have the Sahiwal case, and then later on we have seen the guy who was not stable enough and he's been killed in the custody, and then later on we have seen Ghotki's event as well. So these are the recent three events. Where do you see the flaw and how exactly you're planning to fix it?
I think the Ghotki issue is a much wider issue of religious freedom, of forced conversions, on which we are also working. In fact, the secretary of my ministry is heading the committee which is looking at religious freedoms and how to protect those freedoms. But custodial deaths is a big issue. We have an anti-torture bill which at the moment is lying with the Interior Ministry, which would take care of police torture in custody. But also we need to have a bigger agenda of police reforms in all the provinces. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa has had police reforms, which the PTI government did, but we are still having to do police reforms in Sindh, in Punjab, and frankly, it is a big issue. Police and the Thana culture, citizens don't look towards the police as somebody that will protect them all the time. So we have to have serious police reforms, and I think that in the next couple of months you will see, at least in Punjab, because it's a provincial subject, police reforms being initiated. Killings is something that has to be dealt with. We have done the bill, but the bureaucracy in Pakistan is another problem. It moves very slowly. Our bill is now lying with the Interior Ministry, and they have, because they have the strongest component, they will be implementing it. So we are waiting for them, and we've been sending them reminders to get moving on it, because the PPP government, which had come into power in 2008, was unable to get the torture bill through. We are hoping that we will be able to get it through.
Gulalai Ismail, why she had to flee Pakistan to save her life, and why her family is still suffering back home, and why she's in US now? If your ministry could have defended her.
When Gulalai Ismail was going to be arrested after a demonstration, I was one of the people who was quite instrumental in making sure that she was not arrested. Let's be clear on that. Secondly, she wants asylum in the US. She's making accusations against the Pakistan Army, but without any data or facts. She has not produced a single case. But then I guess if you want asylum, you will start abusing your country's army, because that's the only way you'll get it. It is unfortunate. But she needs to come up with data and support the data, support her allegations with data.
All right. Dr. Mazari, on a closing note, do you feel any loopholes in the law which are related to human rights?
Let me put it clearly, there is not mass abuse of human rights in Pakistan. Yes, there are loopholes. not so much in the laws, because a lot of laws exist, but in the enforcement of the laws and awareness about those laws. But these are issues that every country is dealing with it. I think if you compare it anywhere in the world, compare democracies, I think Pakistan's human rights situation is not as bad as in our neighborhood or in a lot of other countries. We all have human rights problems. We want to remove those bottlenecks, we want to improve the human rights situation, but to suddenly say that Pakistan's situation is somehow so drastic, I think is absolutely not correct.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mazari, for giving out this time to us and technically discussing all these matters. Thanks for joining us.